Alright, so we're back in the shop after a good weekend of racing. Well, one day of racing instead of the whole weekend. This little motor did pretty good. We managed a 12.18 at 111 miles an hour, shifting at only 5,500 RPM. So we're shifting pretty early. I had to stay in the 12s to stay in the sportsman class, so I didn't get any real runs to test out what she'll really do, but that's coming up, so stay tuned. Alright, a couple things. I have sprung a transmission leak somewhere, so I'm going to have to search that out. And on the weekend, the alternator died, that junkyard alternator. So I came, it had the 145 amp on it before. I came and got a 105 amp because it's a little bit smaller. And we have a little more room in the back here. I didn't have to reclock this one, which is really, really nice. So, but with it being smaller, this belt isn't going to work because it's too long now. So I've got that tightened up as much as I can, and it's still too loose. So we're getting a lot of belt squeal. So I'm going to see if I can find a little bit shorter one. See if I can go with a 6 rib to make it grab a little more, a little less squeal, a little less noise. So other than that, it ran pretty good. Couple tiny things to fix up. Couple things that I want to go over and check. And yeah, we'll be back in action again. So the first thing I'm going to take care of is this belt, since we're on the ground and it's right here. So I'll rip that off and see if we can find a different one. Alright, so I got the belt figured out. A little bit shorter belt. I got one ordered, should be here 2 days. Gonna run a little bit shorter belt so I can tighten it up a little more. And yeah, didn't have one here that I liked, so yeah, ordered one in. And then I went to look at the transmission leak. It looks to be the lower fitting there. I either got to tighten it up or change a bush fitting or something. So we'll just take care of that real quick. Should be pretty easy. And then clean up all this ATF that we got dripping down everywhere. So nobody ever likes that on the track. Get that cleaned up, and then we'll move on to something else. So, kind of like I figured, it was a loose fitting, that bottom one. I don't know if I just didn't tighten it properly, or the vibration of the race car loosened it off. But she's all tightened up, good to go again. Cleaned her off with some brake clean. Time to move on to something else. Alright, so these are the next big change. These ugly, nasty S10 wheels are going to make way for these. In order to do that, I need longer studs. So we got some Moroso ones and some wheel nuts with the end hacked off. And we got to do that because running a 7/16 stud, I need at least 7/16 of an inch of stud sticking out here. So that's how they work that. If you're running a 1/2 inch stud, it's got to be 1/2 inch. So I'm going to be running 7/16 studs on the front, 7/16 sticking out. So I'm going to change the studs, change the wheel nuts, and put that on there. That'll look way better. Alright, let's get that done. Alright, so there's how it sits with the new wheels on. New wheels and tires up front. The front, obviously, we get down here closer to level, sits a little higher in the front than it does in the back, if you compare it to the hoist there. So we got a decision to make. Do we keep it up a little bit because it's better for weight transfer and traction? Or do we lower it down a bit because then it would be a little bit better for aerodynamics, top end stability? Decisions. Alright, anyways, I'm going to rip the shocks out because I do have a new set of Competition Engineering 3-way adjustable shocks. So we're definitely changing those, and while I'm ripping the old ones out, I will make a decision on what to do with the front end. Alright guys, here's a trick for you, in case you didn't know. If the top of your shocks are rusty and corroded and stuff, and you're not keeping the shocks, there's an easy way to do it. You grab a socket, nice tough one, an impact socket, the same size as the nut on top. And then what I did is I slid it over top, 2 nice big extensions if you have the room, and you just wiggle it back and forth a few times until it breaks. It will break off right underneath the nut all the time, which is nice. And you can pull all the miscellaneous crap out, and the top of your shock is undone. and then you don't have to deal with all the rust, corrosion, and all that kind of stuff, and you're throwing the shocks away anyways. So, it was a good thing to change these front shocks, because I went to actuate them by hand, and that happened, so not the best thing in the world for your shocks to just come apart in your hand when you try and cycle them, so the new ones should do much better, I'm guessing. Alright, let's get them bad boys in there. Alright, so I've decided to pull the front springs. I'm going to chop a little bit out of them and bring the front end down a little bit because the high speed stability it's a pretty big thing for me. So, pretty easy to do as long as you have a little bit of brains about you. You take the shock out, which I was already doing anyways, and then I always put a safety chain in there just in case something goes sideways. You don't need that spring coming in your face. It's almost happened to me once. I'm very thankful to have a safety chain in there. So, and then take the tie rod off so you can move the steering knuckle around. And then I separated the upper ball joint. And make sure you have this supported. I have a jack, which I supported the bottom with and brought it down very slowly, gently, very controlled. And now we have, it's all loose in there. I can pull the spring out. And when you're cutting a spring, use a Sawzall or a cutoff wheel. Don't use a torch. That kind of heat can ruin the spring. So there you go, a couple of tips. And then when we go back together, it'll be the same thing. Safety chain on there, put the spring in position, and slowly lift it up with the jack until we can fasten the upper ball joint and everything's safe again. All right, we'll keep going here. All right, so that's how the car sits for now. I took one coil out of the fronts, put the new shocks in, put everything back together. Sits just slightly nose down, which is good because when I have my foot to the floor and we're going on the track, it'll probably sit pretty close to level. And gives it a nice little tiny rake. The gaps between the tires and the fenders are pretty close, front and rear. Just looks really good that way. Alright, let's hope it performs the same way as it looks. And yeah, we will get out of here for tonight, go chill out and relax at home again, and we'll do some more work here in a couple days.